Chords can sometimes seem a little scary, especially when you're first starting out. Now, chords that start on black keys can feel even more daunting, but it doesn't have to be like that. In this video, I am sharing tips for finding and playing black key chords, both major and minor. All this means is chords that are starting on a black key. If you haven't checked out the what are flats and sharps and how do you find them video, then be sure to go to that in the description. This will make a lot more sense if you have watched and practiced that first. Also, be sure to stick to the end because I'm sharing a bonus tip to make these even easier to physically play on the piano. If we haven't met before, I'm Rosemarie Penner, and I make learning piano fun, simple, and interactive with creative ideas and resources to bring on those smiles. I remember as a younger student getting really intimidated by the black keys. I don't even know why now, but this anxiety had been completely unfounded. It turns out that those keys took music from, okay to really amazing. And especially once those black key chords, like you're going to learn today, once they were part of the mix, things really got awesome. So let's start off with, why do chords have the names that they have? Okay, I remember asking this question once we started adding in black key chords. This all goes back to context. I'm going to really oversimplify this, but you're going to get the overall gist of it. If a song is in G major, the music rules state that there's an F sharp in it. And by the way, if you want a video on piano scales and how do I know that there's an F sharp in G major, just let me know in the comments, okay? Now the rules also state that we can't have two notes with the same name or the same bass name. So for example, F sharp could also be called G flat, but according to our rules that we have to follow, we can't have two Gs in the same scale. We also use something called the circle of fifths to explain how all the keys and modes, so all the major keys and how the minor keys, how they all relate to each other, how they all play nice together. And the names come from how far apart each of the chords is from the ones around it. Same thing, if you want to learn more about the circle of fifths, it's a fascinating topic. Just let me know in the comments and I will be sure to let you know. It actually really opens up a lot of musical stuff, really cool stuff that you can do on the piano. But the gist is we just have some musical rules we have to follow. So back in creating major and minor chords, the video, we went through what's called the big small method or the big small trick. Now, if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, please go to the description, go back and watch that video because we're going to be using this to create these black key chords today. We're going to follow the same rules that we did before, but now we just happen to have some different colored keys involved. So our tonic or our home note is going to be the same note or is the same name as the chord. The middle, we're going to skip up for half notes or semitones and play that note. And then our top note, we're going to skip from that middle note up 3 half notes or half steps and then play that note. So let's take a look at D flat major. So here's D, we're going to go down half a step, so we're here. Following our big small rule, we're going to from here, and I'm just going to put my finger on that note, we're going to go up 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's our next note, and from there is small, so 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so D flat, F, and A flat. Sounds pretty major, right? Well, there's a few that also follow this same hand shape. E flat major is one of them. And then our next one is also A flat major, right? And in each of these cases, if I'm doing my counting of my 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna form these chords. So D flat, E flat, and A flat. And these are all major. There are some other black key groups, right? Like we did D flat and E flat, but we didn't do G flat. So again, if we're following 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, that this one is all black keys. Sometimes it's called F sharp major. Not very common in piano music, but you might hear or see that that's what it's called. And then we have one more, which is our B flat, and it has its own hand shape as well. So let's do a little math here. We're going to go our 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Notice we've got black key, and white key. So what does this look like for minor chords? Well, instead of using a big, small rule, like we did for our major, we're going to switch it. So when we're creating these minor chords, we're once again going to use small, so 3 half steps, followed by the big, which is 4 half steps. Don't worry, I'm going to show you what this looks like on the piano. Now, just before we do that, you may have noticed that our major chords tended to have flat names. Okay, so for our black key chords, major tends to have flat, so D flat, G flat, B flat, and so on. For our minor chords, we tend to use the sharp. So even though it's the same note, so D flat major, C sharp minor. And this is how they relate to the major key. So remember at the beginning of the video I said there are certain musical rules we need to follow, and so this relates to that. If you would love to learn more about the relationship between the major and minor chords and how chords in general relate to each other, the relationships that they have with each other, just let me know in the comments and I'll make sure that video gets made. So let's find C sharp. So C sharp goes to the right, and we're going to figure out our C sharp minor chord. So small first, 1, 2, 3, and then from there our big 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got C sharp, E, and G sharp. Some other chords that have a similar hand shape would be F sharp minor and G sharp minor. Notice they all have a similar sound to each other, but also the way that your hand plays the notes is going to feel pretty similar under your fingers. Then we've got D sharp minor. 1, 2, 3. We need our big now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice this one is all black keys now. It's going to feel different under your fingers. And then we have A sharp minor. So this one also is going to have a bit of a different feel under your hand. So let's figure out, we've got small first, 1, 2, 3, and then big, 1, 2, 3, 4. Be sure to practice finding both the major and minor chords on your own. It'll definitely help you as you're improving your piano playing. When you're just playing the piano, you don't really necessarily have to worry about what these notes are called until you get to the point where you're either reading notes on a page or you're talking with other musicians. Then this becomes super important so that you're all kind of on the same page, so to speak. Remembering that black key chords follow the exact same rules as any other major or minor chord can take a lot of the anxiety away. I know when I was learning, that helped a lot in terms of just understanding it was just a different spot on the piano. By the way, if you're liking this style of teaching, but you want to get more support, check out the description. You can get a free interview. Interview seems a little serious, but really a meeting with me to talk about what you're looking for in your piano learning and how I can support you. So again, that link is in the description if you're wanting some extra support, more one-on-one help. How do we quickly find and play black key chords, both major and minor? Well, for major chords, we use the big, small trick. For minor chords, we use the small, big trick, so exact opposite. For major keys, we want to remember that they tend to use flats in the name. For minor chords, they tend to use sharps in the name. What was the most challenging part of learning these black key chords? Let me know in the comments. I would love to find out from you. Oh, and we needed a bonus tip, didn't we? Okay, so here's the bonus tip. When you look at the piano, the part at the back here, okay, so away from you, that's what's called a fall board. When you move your hands a little bit closer to the fall board or away from you, it can sometimes be easier to play these black key chords because you're making use of all the space in between the black keys as well. It really is quite brilliant how our fingers can fit quite nicely there and make it so much easier to play. If you haven't hit subscribe, make sure you do that, because on Thursday, there's going to be another video and it's going to be explaining the 6 most common hand shapes that we use when we're playing major and minor chords. And that'll help you be able to play and find these even faster. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to your comments.